This will be a day long remembered. Now I am the master.
Welcome to another episode of Legends and Theories, and welcome to my review of Star Wars The New Jedi Order, Force Heretic III Reunion. And just a brief side note, I do apologize if I accidentally talk about future books, because I am really deep into New Jedi Order right now. I've had some extra time to read, and have already finished the next book in this, The Final Prophecy, and am about like 40% done with the final book, The Unifying Force. So there is a chance I may accidentally talk about future plot points here, because I finished the Final Prophecy in like a week and read about like 40% of Unifying Force in the week after that. So, just in case, may accidentally put some things for that. But still, just going into this one was exciting, but kind of got overshadowed by its next two books, which really are incredible in my opinion. You'll be hearing about one of those on Thursday, and probably within the next week or two, you'll be hearing about Unifying Force. But this one, as I predicted in my previous video, is that this book is about, at least in one part, Luke, Mara, Jason, and the rest trying to convince Zenoma Sakat to join the Galactic Alliance in the defeat of the Yuuzhan Vong. And throughout it, it is honestly a really solid story. It involves the planet itself testing them to make sure that they are worthy, including organizing a kidnapping to see how they would react in a dangerous situation. It also has some, pretty great moments of character building, just to see how Jason is willing to deal with problems and doesn't want to go with a full violent solution, something that will soon be changing when he falls to the dark side and becomes Darth Kaitis. But there's also some tie-ins to the novel Rogue Planet. I have not read that yet, but I did pick it up a few weeks ago and am planning to read it as a quick side trip after I finish New Jedi Order, but before I continue on to the next big story, which is Dark Nest, followed by a big but not as big Legacy of the Force, which is about Jason's downfall. But yeah, honestly, the entire stuff with Luke, Mara, and everyone definitely was the most interesting part of this, and was my personal favorite part of this story. But the rest of it is also pretty solid too. Going to the still smaller but more important for the setup of the next two books is the continuing of Nomenor trying to gain power and use the Shamed Ones to his advantage. With this, one tries to overthrow him, and that causes him to have to kill him, and since they want to have his plans accelerated, he knows that if they were accelerated, they would fail. So he doesn't want to do that, but he's being stuck between a rock and a hard place, especially after his top agent, one that is not shamed but agrees with their cause, is taken out. And this makes things even more hard and desperate for him to try and get power. That's going to be very important for the next book. But just continuing on this one, everything with him is honestly interesting, and it is he's definitely a really interesting character with how he's sort of this Weasley character who is trying to get away with everything, He wants to survive and have power and to push off his failures and responsibility of everything onto other people. So with that, that's honestly pretty interesting, and it gets to its ultimate conclusion of everything in the next book. But I'll be talking about that on Thursday. And going back to the story of the heroes, the final and our major one is with the Alliance and the Imperials, including Han, Leia, Tahiri, and the rest, going and trying to take out the Yuuzhan Vong and reclaim a listening station that is contacting out to the unknown region so they can return contact with Luke, who is obviously out there with Sonoma Sakat. And throughout that, there's some interesting things, especially with Tahiri going and merging with her Yuuzhan Vong personality, them becoming one person, and that is honestly just a pretty interesting thing. I wasn't really sure where this was going to go because in stuff that I've read that takes place after, there's never really an acknowledgement of this Yuuzhan Vong personality that's put within her. And yeah, the stuff I read is goes farther out in the future, so this is far after she has dealt with it. The stuff that I see with her is everything in Fate of the Jedi, where she's fallen and been redeemed from the dark side. So lots happened there, and I'm assuming that's not really a huge part of her priority, although they probably could have brought that up at her trial in that story to say that could have been part of the reason she fell. But going to it, I think it was, a nice way to say that they could find a way of peace with the Vong and that there can be a way out of this that doesn't lead to what the Jedi are fearing is a complete genocide of the Vong. Going through just more of the story, there are so many other just different, interesting, and unique parts of it. As it continues on, we get to some just pretty extreme points as the Republic is, or not the Republic anymore, the Galactic Alliance is kind of being pushed back a little bit, but them and the Imperials are ultimately able to win with some help from the locals didn't even know that lived on, it was either a moon or an asteroid that this communications base was hidden on, and there they are, eventually able to push the Vong out and establish reconnections with Luke in the unknown regions. But there's also just some other interesting little things in here, and a cool moment where Jack is told to surprise Pellion, and he manages to do that. It was honestly, there's a great little moment with that where they keep building it up over a few pages and then cutting to other parts of the story and going back to that. One thing I want to mention about this trilogy that was more annoying in terms of reading progress is that for these three books there is no chapters in it. It's just three long sections. So it just feels like in terms of progress, even though you're going through the pages, that in terms of like scale, you don't really feel how far you're going in, and it feels like it jumps around just a bunch. It's not a huge problem, and it's just more of a minor annoyance, but I wish that they didn't do that, and that it was written a little more traditionally, with at least chapters, because as I said, it's a little annoying to just keep reading and trying to figure out, when these next parts come in. Thankfully, it's only put down to this trilogy, and the rest of the books all do have chapters. It's just a minor little annoyance. I forgot to mention the first two videos about this trilogy specifically, but getting them to and Sakat and them eventually being able to convince it to help them out in the war. It's honestly pretty great, and just going through everything else, all the characters in this are great, and it just keeps pushing things closer and closer to the end. And while it does feel like a lot of the war still could happen, this is the third to last book in the series, and there's only two more to have reached the end. As I mentioned, I'll have my review of The Final Prophecy out on Thursday. And then, best case scenarios, I have Unifying Force out next Thursday. If not, it'll be the Tuesday or Thursday after that. Unless I just have completely no time at all. But yeah, that's really all I have to say about this book specifically. And I want to know what you think. Please leave me in the comments, and I'll see you on the next episode of Legends and Theories. Thank you for watching this episode of Legends and Theories. Please subscribe, like the video, share the video, leave a comment, check out the video on screen, and may the Force be with you.